Issa with Journey to Programming here, and this is going to be the first of our new series that I'm trying to kind of start off. I want to do a once a week reviewing, a once a week live kind of post edition where what we'll do is we'll review job boards, go through maybe interesting software engineering, software dev, maybe game dev roles that we found in different geographical locations, probably around the US, because that's the market I know and understand. And we'll just go through various roles that are available, read through their descriptions, read through the requirements, and maybe provide a little bit of comment and critique on what they're looking for, and also let's look at the salaries that they're looking at providing, if they show that, or if the job board shows some sort of estimate, right? So that's what we're going to be doing week in, week out. And I'm going to be doing it live. So you guys have a chance to ask any questions if you're checking this out live. And you guys can comment, critique, etc. Then, if this is recorded and you didn't get to catch us live, you guys can also come back, ask questions in the comments, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And then also the next week, you will maybe have an idea for what we're trying to do, and you can add any questions you have then. So we're going to jump in a moment. I'm actually going to pause this live feed because I just want to double check if everything's streaming correctly. And I'll keep it running, but I'm just going to look at that for a moment here. So you guys may see me go MIA for a minute. Well, not MIA, you'll see me on here, but I may go quiet. So let me take a look. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pulling up my stream live here. I want to see what the audio sounds like right now and see if everything sounds pretty clear. All right. So how does my audio sound to you guys? Is it loud enough? I feel like my audio mixer is a little bit low, so I may need to boost it. Let me go ahead and do that. So I went ahead and did that. Let's take a look if that helps. So my concern with increasing the volume there on my interface is I think you guys are gonna be able to hear me breathe. So apologies if you're picking up a lot of my breathing in the mic right now, but I think this may make it a little easier for you to hear. Excuse me. All right, that actually seems a bit better. And I'm going to go ahead and continue live now. Let's take a look. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make sure you guys have this link. So this is public, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right into reviewing jobs in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at opening up a job board platform. So for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through Indeed. I already have it set up. I have an account on there. And what we'll focus on is probably Northern California. That's where I am right now. But we can move around depending on people's interests as well. So let's go ahead and move there in just a moment. I'm just sharing the link to the live feed over on our Facebook group, just because I know there's a following there. All right. Let's see, did that go live? It probably did. Let's take a look. All right. Well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. So let's see, does this toggle over like I want it to? It does. There we go. So we are taking a look at Indeed right now. So Indeed is just a job board platform. You can create a profile on there, add your resume, descriptions of your prior roles, etc. And then you could apply for jobs easily through the platform. Or you could search for jobs, and they're usually within those job postings that you find, they will link you out to the job application platform, whether it's like Brass Ring or some other internal application site that a company uses. You will get that link through Indeed's platform. It's similar to other job board platforms out there, kind of like Career Builder or Monster, and what you'll see on like Glassdoor's jobs listings or LinkedIn's job listings. So it's a very similar website. If you take a look at your profile, I am logged in, okay. Then you can take a look at the resume section for me, and this is an example of what it'll look like. So you have my platform in here. You can actually upload your own resume into this if you wanted to, and then it will automatically parse that and create your job experiences and listings in here. Or you can go in there, add it all in manually, and go from there. Either way, make sure you review your postings and your information in this, because typos happen. You want it to look professional. And if you're going to make your profile public, which is an option in here so you can see resume privacy settings, then you want to make sure it looks decent and it's readable. Especially if you import your resume from like a doc or a docx, you want to make sure you review this, because sometimes there'll be hidden formatting within those docs that does not import correctly, and the parser will garble a bit of the information in that, right? So just my 2 cents. This is obviously a little old for me, and it looks like they've added in some kind of cool inline spell checking features, which they did not have the last time I used the site, if I remember, or if I recall correctly. Excuse me. And for some reason, it thinks that RGB LED is garbled. It is not garbled, so I'm just going to say it's correct. And I'm going to go ahead and move on. Is that correct spelling? Yes. Oh, no. Oh, man, it's changing stuff. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh, okay, so I see. This is the proposed... let me go into this change that. Deck link is a brand... It's like a product of Blackmagic. eHive is a CMS type thing. Let me go ahead and just fix that. This was RGB LEDs. Maybe I could have spelled that out a little bit differently. There we go. And this was NeoPixels. I think that's correct spelling. I don't really care at this point. And yeah, anyways, just beware if you use that auto fixing thing, the spell check. So the bold is what they think is correct. And I'm going to say, no, that's not the correct spelling. I was thinking that it was saying, is my spelling correct? Then leave it. So I was hitting yes. So anyways, Fade Candy, Decklink. Okay, I'm going to skip this. I don't want to waste our time here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's search for jobs. As I mentioned, I want to take a look at California. I'm not currently looking for any work right now. I've got a full-time job as well as do my own kind of stuff on the side. And what I'm looking to do, though, is show you guys the process I'll normally do, and then maybe take a look at a handful of jobs postings, and let's review them. So let's first take a look at maybe the Los Angeles area. I was out there for a few years, and let's look up software engineer. So very common search parameters. Let's take a look at this, and right away there's a ton of posts. You can see right here, this is page 1 of 999 pages. Okay, so almost basically 2,000 pages of jobs. Great. And I'm a little bit zoomed in here, so we're seeing like the compressed view. But let's take a look at this interface in general before we dive in. I'll do this just on this chat today. And in the future, I won't spend a lot of time doing this. But on the interface, let's take a look at the top here. So it looks like they've added a few new things. It looks like they've really updated the usability here and the filter options that are available. It looks like remote is now a direct toggle. So it looks like I just hit remote. It goes ahead and sets that. That's cool. I could disable it. I'm going to disable it for now, even though we're in work from home, where most jobs are remote up until we kind of get through this COVID time. But that is a nice isolation if you're looking for a permanently remote job or some kind of job that lists being remote as a specific or dedicated option they provide. Next, you can go ahead and change up the kind of the radius for the job that you're looking for. Los Angeles is very dense. It's a big area. When you think about Los Angeles, we're not talking about downtown LA. We're usually talking about the west side, going all the way out to the east side towards like Pomona, but mainly like, so if we're on the east side, like Pasadena, going to like, what's right east of like Darday and Monrovia, stuff like that, going all the way east up to maybe the Pomona area, which is then really changing to Inland Empire. And then from the west side, like Santa Monica, Venice, Hollywood, etc., or Westwood. And I'm just going to keep it open 25 miles. That's about that radius. And if you really wanted to isolate more, you could select maybe 10 miles, and I think that would really isolate it to like downtown and its surrounding primary areas, which may go out to like Pasadena and maybe to the West Hollywood area. And then south as well, north, maybe into Glendale, etc. Salary. So you can go ahead and isolate your salary requirements that you would like to try to stay within. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to leave this open. And I'm just going to take a look at what's showing up at the top of the stacks here and go through those. You can go to job types, full-time contract, part-time, and then a few others. Your primary options here that you'll probably use are going to be full-time, contract, and part-time. I've noticed that full-time roles are going to be it's going to be the majority of companies. You can see that here, almost 2,000 posts within full-time. But what I was going to say is you could sometimes find contract and part-time jobs that are listed under full-time. Sometimes they'll add in all 3 filters within their post, and that's a good thing. But that's something to note for full-time. Under contract, so contract, you could think of these as being like a dedicated contract length where you are a W-2 employee on a contract term. You could also think of them as being freelance contracts where you're an independent contractor. That's probably more rare, to be quite honest. Usually companies that are posting something under contract, I found them to be, let's say, basically staffing firms. That's what I was looking for. And staffing firms that are looking to keep you as a contract employee, basically a 1090, not a contract employee, that's hypocritical, as a contract uh, individual, contracted individual. Wow. And you're going to be a 1099. You're going to receive a 1099. You're going to have to report your own taxes, etc. Okay, and that's usually the case with these. It's going to be staffing firms that want you to either be 1099 or you're going to be an employee with a set time offer. Okay, so that explains that. Part time. This will sometimes fit in with contract type work. It'll be like a specific time period. Uh, Occasionally, you'll find a developer role where they only want somebody for like 10 to 20 hours, and mainly it's going to be like maintenance type work. Or it could be a small company that doesn't have the money to afford somebody to be a full time on internal dev. But I found that these usually are more in line with being like temporary contracts or administrative type positions. We could take a look at those in a bit. I could be completely wrong. My bad if I am. But yeah, so those are the primary ones I'd say check out. Internship may be beneficial to you if you're a student and you're looking for internships during your sophomore, junior, senior years, and that may isolate those listings. If you are graduating in the next like semester or you're in your senior year, it's hit or miss on whether or not you should look for an internship. And the reason I say so is if you're looking for a job outside of college, so you're going to graduate, you know that, and you're looking to start a job after your graduation, you can probably pull off a entry level full time job, which will pay more than any job that titles you as an internship, unless that internship is specifically at a FANG company. And so Facebook, Amazon, Google, Netflix, Apple, those companies pay internships pretty well. So they're paying you basically the same salary as like an entry level engineer. So that may be an option there. And yeah, anyway, so I won't summarize any more from there. Skills. This is a filter which I guess they've added. We used to just search for it within the what terms here. You can just comma delimit and then add in more search terms. That's kind of cool. I don't necessarily know if it's useful because a lot of job postings will have multiple languages within it. So it may not be isolating very well. I mean, you could look at just the sheer number of job postings that are coming up with multiple, I mean, within all these options. I bet you things with JavaScript are also going to have maybe some HTML, CSS, SQL, Angular, React, Node. Anything with PHP is probably going to have some SQL, HTML, CSS, and .NET's going to probably have some C Sharp. I don't even see C Sharp as a option in here, although it could be a different .NET language, so that's an option as well. But anyways, that's a filter option. Educational level, most jobs are going to require you to at least have a bachelor's degree, and even though they state that, if you do not have a bachelor degree, maybe you're still a student or maybe you are coming in without a formal education, you can still apply to those, okay? Look within the job requisitions. I'll show you guys how during this live feed here. And look to see if they make it a requirement or if it's a recommended or requested requirement. They'll say if it's mandatory or not, usually within the job requisition. And I'll tell you right now, just from firsthand experience as a person who's hired before and been a part of the interview loops and worked at various companies as well, I guess I can't say it as somebody who's been in the interview loops as a interviewed person or an interviewee because I have a degree, but as a person who's hired people and also worked at large companies and such, having a bachelor's degree is nice, but it's not mandatory for a lot of companies. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that if you don't have one right now, or if you don't have one at all and you don't plan on getting one in computer science or programming, just still apply to them. Usually the companies that list master's and doctoral degrees, they want you to have a PhD. PhDs usually are required if they actually mention that. Some companies will say it's nice to have that, or they prefer people with a PhD, and you may want to at least flag those, and it's questionable on if you're going to apply to those. Sometimes They will still look at your resume and you may still have a shot, but that's up to you. Lastly, we've got location. It looks like they've actually set up specific cities within this. Oh, you can isolate specific companies now. You used to have to search for that. And experience level. This is a hit or miss thing. Uh, I'd say if you're entry level, apply for entry level and take a look at the mid level positions. If you have 3+ years of experience, you could probably start taking a look at the mid level, senior level type positions. If you have 10 years of experience, you may want to isolate senior level. But in any case, I would probably just leave this filter alone and take a look at everything. Um, if you're a senior level person, you can also sometimes apply to a mid level and they may upgrade you, they may change the expectations. And even entry level, sometimes they may be willing to pay you a senior level price, even though they were looking for an entry level person, and they may be willing to change up the requirements instead of hiring an entry level person or two. They may consider hiring a senior level person if you're a good candidate. So that's why I'd say take a look at that. All right, so that was the introduction. It was long. It was a little exhaustive, but let's go ahead and take a look at the actual job post now. So jumping into here, it's currently sorting by relevance. I'm searching software engineer within LA. And let's take a look what is showing up. So starting out, driven deliveries in El Segundo. Let's take a look at what they are looking for. It looks like they're looking for a React engineer, full stack web dev stuff. So they're going to want you to be able to do some server side, probably some data driven front end. But let's take a look. So, driven deliveries owns, okay, it's a cannabis delivery brand. Nice. And they own 3 of them. Beautiful. Okay, so small company. I'm wondering how large their engineering team is, or if they even have an internal engineering team yet. At this price, it's probably going to look for a mid-level individual. Let's take a look at some more data here. As driven aims to extend its services to even broaden. Okay. That's our small team. So they do have a small team. It doesn't say if they're engineers. This may be the first job requisition they've posted to hire their first full stack engineers. I don't know. They could have outsourced the original app, which is not uncommon with these small companies and startups because that can be a lot cheaper than onboarding an engineering team. Develop maintenance of our e-commerce platforms, driver apps. So it's basically like Uber or Lyft for weed. Okay, so they basically want somebody that can develop the logistics platform and also work on the e-commerce side. Let's see, do they say what stacks or what frameworks they're using within React or any kind of APIs? So I'll definitely say I'm not a React expert, but this isn't an uncommon type role. I've done a little bit of React stuff. I've definitely worked with Node, so I'm taking a look at preferred qualifications down here. It looks like they want React, Node, Mongo. Okay, so it's like a relatively normal stack here. And established portfolio, high regard, track records of writing unit and integration test. So they're probably looking at a mid-level, senior level person here. The reason I say that is entry-level folks tend to not write or have the most solid of unit testing or integration testing techniques, and sometimes they don't write any. Usually that's something you learn as you get to like the mid-senior level. You get consistent at doing that and documenting it and providing ways for other engineers to reuse your testing while they're integrating code. So that's why I am suspecting they're looking for somebody mid or senior level. Also, that salary of 100K in LA, that's going to look for mid to senior level in most cases, since the entry level rate is probably going to be between like 50 to 70 or so. That's going to be what I'm guessing is the average right now. Let's take a look a little bit up here. So examples of problems we solve. Routing optimizations, yep. Basically shortening or making drivers efficient using whatever map APIs they're using. Facilitating company-wide communication. So, okay. So some sort of dispatch between drivers, customers, or communications setup, okay. Financial and compliance. Okay, so reporting type APIs they're going to end up using or needing. So these are like internal tools. Um, Constructing API. Okay, so they probably already have an API that's being supported, unless they're using a completely written platform that already exists and they're just paying some sort of subscription price to it. And maybe they're trying to create their own API now using the tools that are out there. I don't know, but that's what they're listing. UI elements. Okay, so I'm assuming they're looking to build like widgets or upgrade their interface to make it more eloquent or user friendly. I don't know for sure. Developing and maintaining server infrastructure. Yeah, they're looking for somebody with really well-rounded experience here. So I don't know how big their team is, but I suspect you're going to be working on various tech, full stack, including doing server infra, which is usually not something you'd expect just a normal engineer to also take that on, unless they're very dynamic and flexible. This is probably somebody that has some either mid to senior level experience or definitely senior level experience, and they definitely make it sound like that. So if you go and apply to this as an entry level or kind of mid level individual without a lot of well rounded experience on not just the software development engineering side of front end and back end, but also some architecture and infrastructure side and understanding of how to scale and administer through whatever servers you're using, then you may find this to be a pretty challenging role, especially given it's a startup. They probably want things to be very quick moving or quickly moving, and that would be a little bit challenging for anybody, okay? But a beginner or somebody with a lack of experience there may face some challenges, and you may end up working some really long hours. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe they're really flexible. It is a cannabis delivery brand, so they could be very, very chill. So it may not be a bad thing. In 100K, that's not bad. So not a bad listing. I think they're very clear that they want somebody that's skilled and able to do a lot. They're not lying. It doesn't sound. So definitely check it out. Looks like they're hiring now. All right. I suspect they're also either advertising or paying to be top ranked here or come up on the top, but I don't know. So now diagnostics, software engineer. So this 70 to 75K, if this is a large like medical company, which is what I'm suspecting, although looking at this, Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, microcontroller stuff. If it's a large company or like an enterprise type place, then usually I don't think they pay as much. But if this is 70 to 75K for an entry level person, so it looks like 1 year is listed here with a bachelor's, which is entry level status to me, then that's not bad. So let's take a look at this listing. So Now Diagnostic LLC in Artesia, California. I don't necessarily know where Artesia is. Let's take a look. Okay, it's right next to Cerritos. So I think this is southeast. Yeah, southeast, okay, of downtown LA. Gotcha. All right, so let's go back to this. That was a fun little search. This looks like a very, very formulaically kind of drawn out post. Bullet points, very clean, looks good. Providing simple, accurate, and easy to administer diagnostic tests that yield results in minutes. Sensitivity, okay. Okay. So that's what the company does. So you're going to develop Android stuff. Online cloud. Input documents. Okay, so I'm assuming they have a team here. And you would probably come in and have a senior or a lead that is guiding you. That will also kind of be your, let's say, a mentor as you join the company. And that's great. That's what you want when you're an entry level person. It means that you're not going to be left out and you're not going to be given like some ambiguous requests or requirements and left to figure it out on your own as an entry level person, which can be very intimidating. Instead, you're going to probably have some guidance. You're going to create some sub aspects or sub pieces of a larger project. Let's see. So data structures, algorithms, and operating system. This sounds like a entry level requirement. So you should come out of your computer science program if you have a degree in computer science, knowing this stuff. So that's perfectly fine. Um, Experience in mobile applications, parallel software programming, online web service development, and then knowledge of, okay, Git, HTML, that's all good. Knowledge OOP, and enthusiasm to work. Okay, so let's go over these. So again, this is a computer science fundamental, like basic thing that you should know coming out of a CS program or a software engineering program. If you're coming from a boot camp or you're self-taught, okay, it could be a little more challenging to have a well-rounded grasp of data structures, algorithms, and the overall workings of OSs. But nonetheless, you can kind of teach that to yourself. And if this company is not doing a standard like coding test type interview, instead they're going to talk to you and maybe ask you some technical questions on site or on a call regarding like OOP, then you may be able to get by with some self teaching really quickly. Then show that you're very quick to learn and open to that, open to learning and growing your knowledge, and they may be cool with that. So this expectation for having Android or iOS experience, okay, it depends on their expectations. If their expectations are that you have exposure to it, not necessarily a lot of experience building apps from end to end, then that's cool. If you took a mobile app class or did any kind of tinkering with mobile app development on your own, then that should give you enough exposure to at least say you've had like you've touched it. It doesn't mean you have a lot of experience with it, but hey, doesn't say they're looking for somebody that's an expert. Parallel software programming. Okay, I'm assuming they're talking about basically threading and parallel processing. Again, as an entry level person right out of college, it's rare that you're going to have a lot of parallel processing type programming experience unless you took that type of a course or you took like GPU programming. And either way, I wouldn't expect you to have a well rounded knowledge base there. Nevertheless, they're looking for it. They don't say you have to be an expert. Still apply. Online and web service development, okay. If you've done any kind of modern classes on web development or tinkered around with it, then great. If you haven't got experience there, you can jump onto AWS or something like that. Spin up like a free 1 year account. Usually they give you 1 year for free on like their microservice scales or their microservice instances, and you can play around with that, understand how that works, or spin up a local server. So if you want to learn like some LAMP stack stuff, then go ahead and download something like XAMPP, and that's free, open source, and you could run like a Linux or Apache server, Linux stack, or in this case, a XAMPP is cross-platform stack, which is going to be an Apache server, MySQL, PHP, etc. Okay. Let's see. So if you haven't used XAMPP, it's very nice. It works really smoothly. Been around forever, in my opinion, and lets you spin up something local really fast. And then if you can test locally, you can go ahead and drive your local files onto your Git repository and pull it onto your actual server and get things set up that way if you want. But yeah, that's a good way to get exposure there. So now next, knowledge about Git, HTML, CSS, and Linux, Unix. Okay, so Git, source code control systems, versioning systems, etc. You should know how to use Git. Usually, if you're joining a job, if you have some exposure to the source control, then great. That's probably gonna be enough. Git is not hard to learn. You could really pick up the primary aspects to it in just a few minutes. You need to learn how to do like a pull, a fetch, commits, and then you probably want to learn how to handle merge conflicts, and then maybe learn about rebasing. I don't think you're going to end up having to rebase stuff yourself if you're completely entry level and you don't necessarily have a lot of experience with it. You're probably going to have somebody that may guide you and you're going to learn it in like 5 minutes, but there's a ton of great YouTube videos and stuff like that on Git. You can also just don't type in GitHub, type in Git, and you'll pull up the actual open source platform, And there's documentation here. It's great. There's also a ton of tutorials on YouTube and just like other tutorials online. So if you haven't got a lot of experience, you can go ahead and just jump into one of these, and they'll give you the crash course or a few lines, a few of the critical points that you should learn. All right. So next, they would love for you to have some UX UI design work, some Qt experience, which is a kind of like an interface design framework. Been around for a while. It is not free for most commercial cases, and I don't think a beginner will have a lot of Qt framework experience, but it's possible. Oh, it's never mind. I lied. Free and open source. Has it always been free and open source? My bad if I'm wrong there. I'm glad I looked it up. Let's take a look. Maybe they have a paid version, but I don't know. So Qt is available under both commercial. Okay, so they do have a commercial license and it's open source under GPL licenses. Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of cool. I want to say that they did not always have an open source version, but maybe they did. So either way, I don't expect that you've got a ton of experience in Qt coming out of college. Again, they're just saying it's good to have. Test planning, cross-platform application development, electronic product okay, software development on embedded. Okay, so Raspberry Pis, micro controllers, etc. Python, read electronic component data. Wow, this is like some electrical engineering experience here. If you took like a computer architecture course, then you probably can pull this off. And if you have a little bit of interest in electricity and physics, you maybe can, you've maybe already taught yourself this, or you can easily teach it to yourself. Communication layers, that's good to know in general. It's just you may not always be in a role that requires it. Okay, to be honest, they're looking for somebody entry level that has this base experience. I think an entry level person can fit this role. I think if you could hit maybe, first of all, you should already know your fundamental knowledge. Let's cross that off the list. You should know that. If you could pull off mobile app experience and online web service stuff experience, and then have your general knowledge of Git, HTML, etc., and OOP, then you probably would be an okay candidate for this, especially if you could show that enthusiasm for healthcare. Then they may be really interested in you. If you have a little bit to show in terms of these good to haves, they're like the additional highlights there that they want, then great. If you've done some projects where you had to document test plans for how you were going to go about testing your projects in school, or you did some stuff outside of school for like 6 months or a year, maybe some internships, then that may be beneficial as well. So I actually think this is okay. I have a feeling they're going to have relatively slow process here, but I don't know that for sure. That's just kind of me guessing. And yeah, everything else looks okay. It looks like a normal company position, probably a 9 to 5. They're looking for Monday to Friday. That's standard day shift. I would hope that's like not 6 a.m. to whatever, but 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or something. Not bad. 75K is not bad for an entry level person. So not a bad option. Let's take a look at the next one. So junior software engineer for seed funded crypto. Ooh, this one may be fun. So I'm really hoping to get one which is kind of like questionable. Okay. So they're looking to pay a entry level engineer 40 to 60K. So I guess that an entry level engineer would probably be like in between 50 to 70K in this current market and in Southern California, right? So let's take a look at what they want. First of all, I hate when people look for a junior software engineer. There's no reason to add in the junior there. It's just a software engineering position, and you're like a level 1 or you're something like that. You don't have to add in junior. You're not like a child, right? But either way, that's their way of saying entry level. It just means that you're paid less. All right, so be excited. And let's take a look. So it looks like some cryptocurrency startup called Ember Fund, based in LA. Ember Fund is built. Okay, decentralized rules in LA. Open to candidates with a variety of backgrounds. They just want people that have some experience on, looks like, web stacks. For backend and scripting, yep. They just want some web stack experience and then some backend development here. So let's see, implement new user-facing features in the app. Type new features. Okay, troubleshooting issues and fix bugs, improve. Okay, so they want somebody with 1 year of experience writing React or React Native, state management patterns. Yeah, okay. Web service and classic backend development. Hmm. Let's see. A degree, basic AWS. Okay. So when I look at junior software engineer positions or any kind of junior or role that states it's an entry level option or job, I expect that means you're straight out of college. Okay. They're looking for somebody with 1 year of experience in writing with React, React Native, and then experience with like Redux, Flux, and stuff like that. And then AWS knowledge, solid understanding of web servers and classic backend. Most students do not learn like Redux, Flux. I would say they don't learn that. Additionally, I'd say a lot of computer science don't. A lot of computer science programs don't teach React, and they don't teach a lot of the web languages and frameworks. So I don't know about this rule as it's written right now. Additionally, you are not normally given exposure to AWS, to be quite honest. Although, as a student, I believe they actually give you a completely free account during your tenure as a student or during your time as a student, right? So, uh, just looking at this job post and what they want you to have, this sounds like somebody with like 2, 3 years of experience that they're really looking for. But a person with 2 or 3 years of experience probably is going to ask for like 80K to 120K, and they're going to be crossing that threshold between being like an entry level, just a software engineer, to being a mid level engineer. So they're looking for somebody with that level experience, a level of experience, to pay them 40 to 60. That's why they've said junior software engineer. Now, I'm assuming because these guys are seed funded, they're probably very, very quickly growing and they're trying to blow up. I'm assuming they're okay. I just hate when they say it's a competitive salary. That's not competitive, especially for what they're asking for. Um, I think it's an interesting job, but I do not like that the way they've written this. But anyways, I'm assuming because they're seed funded and they're probably looking to get some more seed funding and various rounds that they're going to try going for, that they're going to provide stock. And then they're hoping and crossing their fingers that they end up selling eventually or blowing up hugely and basically turning into a major kind of company that goes public or whatever for a crypto. And if that happens, your value can shoot up. It could be one of the unicorn companies that you are a part of, and you become well off. It becomes a good calculated gamble where you got to learn your development skills and also got to experience a company from a startup stage and growing, etc. I don't think that this is necessarily a great role, especially for somebody entry level. I have a feeling it's going to be very, very rough, very scrappy. Not a lot of guidance will be provided, even if they have a team, because I bet you everybody's just kind of pulling stuff together and trying to get work done. That's just my opinion. And even with the benefits they have, like flexible working hours, casual work attire, and meals, you're okay. That's fair. I guess it kind of fits in. They're not paying you very well, so that fits in and kind of makes up for it slightly. I don't necessarily agree with infinite career growth opportunities and international work environment. Okay, you could just say diverse work environment, and you're going to gain professional experience, but it sounds like they're trying to blow it out of proportion. I'm not a fan of this particular role. I think if you were to apply to this, definitely ask for the high end if you're really entry level, but really upsell your ability to learn on the fly and your desire to work within basically crypto type startups. Basically, you need to sell that you're very interested in it and that you are a very self-driven individual. You're independent and can teach yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on from this one. But I'm going to move a little bit faster here, right? So let's see. In senior embedded engineer, 90 to 110. The pay's okay. I don't know about Summerboard Inc. I just don't know the name. They state it's a remote role. I don't know if that's because of it being fully remote or if that's because of the current like work from home orders that are going on. I'm going to quickly scan their post here. Okay. It sounds like fun. It's like an electric battery operated skateboard that feels like a snowboard. So you get to actually like carve while on the road, which I guess maybe 10 years ago I would have been stoked about that. But now I'm like, oh man, I could imagine road rash in a heartbeat from that. Anyway, so let's jump into it. So 90 to 110K. What do they want? 5 years of experience. They're looking for a senior embedded person. So you're going to be working with radio frequency communication, probably between a controller and the actual board motor system. 9-axis sensors. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with this. Maybe they're adding in some sort of gyroscopic balancing on it. I don't know for sure. Over the air updates. So OTA over the air. Basically, they want to be able to deliver updates to the devices or their technology over the air. That's not odd. It's pretty normal in device hardware, especially currently and nowadays. You don't want to have to like provide somebody with a firmware update. They have to flash and do all that manually. That'd be really tough, especially if it's a consumer product. Since it's allowing snowboarders, yeah. So that's what I'm suspecting. C programming languages, that's pretty cool. So I mean, I would assume it with hardware that you can be using C++. But, I was just about to say, Python is what I was expecting them to ask for just because a lot of people are jumping on the Python train, especially with like little hardware and microcontroller work. No, that's pretty cool. So if you want to learn C++ and kind of get a grasp of embedded systems with C, this looks like actually really a cool role. But they're looking for somebody senior, so I suspect you already have that experience if you're going to be applying for this role. I suspect they're going to be willing to hire somebody with at least like 3 years of experience plus, just because I don't know if 90 to 110 is enough for like a actual senior level person with embedded commercial experience like they're asking for. Uh, but either way, I think this is actually a really cool role. It sounds like fun, actually, and it sounds like a fun challenge to work on. Plus, if you're anyone into being active and snowboarding, this sounds like a great way to get to work on something you get to also test out. And that sounds pretty cool. Let's take a look at any other kind of little tips here, and then let's move on. You've got to be a self-starter. Anytime they say you want to be a self-starter, it means you probably don't have a very big team, and you probably will not have very much guidance on your job, like requisition, not the job requisitions, the technical aspect of projects. So they'll have like some abstract or arbitrary desire for some tech to be developed or some updates to be made, and you're going to have to figure that one out or do the discovery yourself. Not a problem. That's a lot of fun, actually. It's a great part of the software development experience, but it's definitely something a senior or somebody mid-level getting to that higher senior level will know. Okay. Interested in applying. Anyways, so that looks pretty good. I assume they're going to be kind of flexible if it's a fun snowboard clone board for the road type company. But it sounds pretty fun, so that actually looks like a cool one. Karagosian and Encase. This sounds like a legal place, but I don't know if it is because they're looking for a physical science background. Let's take a quick look at this one. I don't know if I'll be able to add input. And I'm actually curious what this place is. Karagosian and Case. Okay, they're a science and engineering consulting firm. I did not know that. If I was supposed to, my bad. But that's kind of cool. Physical science background. So you need C, C++, and Python. I assume you're going to be doing some kind of hardware as well. Maybe medical devices or something like that. Scientific devices is what I would think. But let's see. Object paradigms. Other nice to haves include quantitative algorithms. or maybe applications that uh, other devices can integrate with. That may be what this is. Must be able to work and think independently. Okay. BS Masters. Okay. Yeah, this one's specifically asking that you have the education. I don't think the other ones necessarily mentioned it in their descriptions, but this one's definitely pointing it out. Okay, they're looking for somebody pretty entry level, 1 to 2 years of actual experience. So maybe not a fresh grad, but somebody that's been around for a year and is really in that awkward phase where it's hard to find new jobs. This may be a good option for them. Let's see. So yeah, if you want to learn that hardware type experience and stuff like that, then this may be good. Or if you want to learn just some desktop software type experience, that looks pretty cool. Esri, so you'd be doing some like geo APIs. Esri provides a lot of like map API services and stuff like that. But let's see. They're a consulting firm. I guess they don't mention the project they're working on. I'm assuming that this is like a project for a client that they have since they're a consulting firm. And they have not mentioned the specific experience or the project technical details here. Uh, Modeling. So this is what they actually usually do: modeling, simulation analysis, applied research and testing. So you're probably coming in to do some product and software development. And I'm assuming it's a company that's in the physical sciences realm that is maybe developing like physical devices or products. And this company, Karagosian in case, has a contract with them to consult and develop some software, I'm suspecting, to help with that. Maybe it's a user interface that will go along with the tools. I don't really know. This sounds like an interesting role. I'm curious what they'd be willing to pay. There's no estimate here. But seeing that they're looking for somebody with 1 to 2 years experience, we can take a look maybe at Glassdoor. My copy and paste is horrible. We can take a look at something like Glassdoor and see if they're listed there, what their average kind of prices are, or what their average salary listings are there, if there are any. So let's take a look. So jobs at Karagosian and Chase. They've got a few different ones here as well. So again, this is another platform that shows salaries, kind of job reviews, and also has its own job board. So let's go ahead and search for salary specifically. So salary, yeah, I mean, I was going to guess that they're going to pay in between like 50 or more like 60 to 80. But it looks like they only have one reported salary here for LA, and that person reported that it was like in between 80 to 90K probably. And that could be with bonuses. Let's take a look at what this breaks it down into. And I don't think that's horrible. I think that's going to be on the low end for like a mid-level senior, but seeing that they're looking for somebody with 1 to 2 years, you're really not a mid-level engineer yet, to be quite honest. Usually you hit that mid-level at like 2, 3 years, up until about 5 years when you're getting to that senior level. And that all varies. I mean, some people reach that mid-level and senior level much faster than others. But usually 1 to 2 years is that awkward phase. You're not necessarily a new grad or a fresh grad, whatever you want to say, but you're also not an experienced developer that could be super dependent upon yet. So they're looking for somebody with 1 to 2 years experience, but they're looking for somebody with a lot of knowledge and a lot of good brain power in them. So it's interesting to see this role. It sounds actually kind of interesting and fun, but I'm suspecting they're going to probably provide an offer around 70 to 80K for an entry level beginner or for 1 to 2 year experienced person. If they offer 80, great. I would say definitely ask for 80 plus if you get into that negotiation stage, but it doesn't look like a bad option. So let's go ahead and move on from there. I spent a little bit of time. Cameo, senior full stack engineer. Ooh, this one looks like fun. I want to look at this one in a minute. Let's take a look at this really quickly. What's their mission? Personalized authentic fan experiences where marketplace where fans can book personalized video shoutouts from their favorite people. So I could pay my favorite person to shout out for me. Huh. Okay, so you're paying for somebody to do a cameo, huh? So they're creating contracts with popular people and influencers, I'm assuming, so that you can jump on there and pay basically have a platform that has the centralized list of influencers and popular famous people, and you can just pay their platform to get them to do some sort of shout out for you. Okay, I get that. That's not a horrible idea. Basically, they're a talent agency, some sort of like modern version of it, and it's just centralizing these uh, famous influencer people so you can just contact them. Okay, let's take a look at what they want. They want somebody to take pride in your work, product sense. Cool, that's nice. And what they hope you'll bring to the table is some front end JavaScript, back end JavaScript, some testing framework experience. Okay. No SQL, that's fine. Experience building robust REST APIs, that's fine. Secrets of Webpack. Okay. So they're looking for somebody senior. I think they're probably looking for somebody with like 4+ years of experience. They're saying 3+ on front end and back end. Uh, if you're good, you could probably pull that off in 2 to 3 years. Have enough experience with Node and Express or Node and the other JS frameworks to be able to do front end and back end. Uh, I think the only problem is if you have like 1 or 2 years of experience, you're going to have a hard time being skilled or having the experience in the JS, basically the unit testing experience there. That's going to be the hard part. For databases, they're not extremely complex. If they are giving you enough time, you can definitely go in and create your own databases and structure them how you need them to be without having an actual like database admin that's dedicated or allocated to your project. Writing APIs. If you're doing backend work, I expect you know how to write APIs. Not a crazy ask. I think somebody with probably about 4 to 5 years of experience will fit into this role well. And I think that's probably the ideal experience, like 4 or 5+ years. I think somebody with 2 or 3 years is going to find this challenging, but it's all going to depend on this company. If they're very flexible and kind of relaxed with you taking time learning, then great. This sounds like a good role. I think either way, this company should probably be paying about like 90K minimum because they're asking for somebody to do quite a bit of stuff. Nevertheless, if they want somebody senior with like 4 or 5 years, you're probably going to be looking at 110+ in LA. And if they want somebody around like the 90K range, or they want to offer somebody less than that, like maybe 60 to 70, then you're probably going to get somebody within that 1 to 3 year range. And I think somebody again with 1 to 2 years, maybe that 3 year mark, is probably going to struggle and need more time than most to get through this stuff. Not that you're bad, but you're going to have to learn a bit and really work hard. So I don't think this is a bad option. I think if you were to jump in and apply, it'd be a good place. It may be fun and challenging to do. I don't necessarily care for the platform itself. So for me, I personally wouldn't be interested. And that's mainly because it's not my kind of company or platform, but I think it's an interesting idea. So that's cool that they've kicked it off. I'm surprised that there aren't a million of these already available. I'm sure there are, but yeah, I don't know too much. Now I want to jump into this fun one here. So let's take a look at the software engineer programmer for PageHub in Stanton. They're paying hourly. All right, internet marketing company, and I assume they get their marketing for different clients, and they need some kind of developer to help, like with websites and creating marketing type material and pages. But let's take a look. Okay, their description's very short. They help business owners create and maintain a strong online footprint. So you're probably looking at creating web pages and then doing some SEO. Let's take a look at what their actual description says. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so right away, these guys are looking for somebody that has experience and knowledge on uh, creative problem solving, which in software development, if you're actually doing any kind of programming and engineering, that's not an easy thing for an entry level person. But it's something anybody can do. An entry level person can creatively problem solve things at that level. But as you get to the mid level and senior level, being able to problem solve complex issues and problems and turning that into a practical resolution or way of implementing a solution is hard, and it's not an easy thing for a beginner to do. I don't know what level they're talking about since it's just business owner type stuff. I don't think it's going to be extremely complex because I assume this is going to be a lot of e-commerce type work here. But looking at their asks, they want automation APIs, API integrations with third party with 3P software, ability to assess and work on existing software. Okay, and then a whole bunch of other crap here, like general. If you work at all, you should be able to do this stuff. And if you can't, then I don't know what you're doing working. Next, they want GitHub service experience. Okay, so you have to know how to use Git, and then you're probably using GitHub as your hosting platform for Git. And JavaScript, so web development experience. Okay, so they're offering 15 to 20 bucks an hour. 15 to 20 bucks an hour is what you pay a college kid. Basically, some student who's doing this on the side and is learning as they go. If that student is an experienced developer, because just because you're a student doesn't mean that you're a crappy developer, then you're going to be paying them a significant amount more than this, probably at least 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 times that amount. So them asking for somebody to have this experience, which is actually a good amount of experience, to know how to use APIs in general and integrate with 3P software, or how to create your own APIs and develop software in general, and then be able to assess and work on software. That is not just a entry level experience that's expected. That is somebody who has a bit more knowledge and experience than somebody that's getting paid $15 to $20 an hour. I would expect if you're contracting on this, the minimum like an entry level person jumping into this that's teaching themselves would ask for is like 30 to 40 an hour, right? And that's because this is still going to take forever to do, and they're paying you hourly. Uh, okay, so I kind of feel like a jackass. They say you must have prior experience or you are currently enrolled or graduated. So they want basically anybody with experience. Never mind, I'm less jackass there. Uh, so they're looking for anybody that's willing to do this job. This is a job that probably should pay at least 50 bucks an hour for somebody to do it with relative efficiency. I have a feeling by paying somebody 15 to $20 an hour, they're going to end up paying more than they would if they just hired somebody that actually knows what they're doing for 80 or 100 bucks an hour. Or if they just found somebody that's willing to take 50 an hour that has a little bit of experience and actually is capable of doing all of this stuff. Because this isn't extremely complicated. But a beginner will take a long freaking time to figure this stuff out at 15 to $20 an hour. So I bet you the hours are going to get inflated. Not inflated. Sorry, wrong word. The hours are going to be a lot more due to them needing to educate themselves and learn it than somebody who already has the knowledge. And in cases where you hire somebody who has the expertise, you're paying them $100, $200 an hour, and they know what they're doing the entire time. They're usually not billing you for the whole time that they're inspecting something new. Okay, so you are getting usually what you pay for, and that's not 100% the case. But if you hire a good person that's charging in those consulting fees, then they usually know what they're doing if they're good, and I mean that in like the ethical and responsible way. Okay, moral and ethical way. All right, so that's my opinion on this. I think this is a ridiculous post. It's kind of laughable to an extent, but I get why they're doing this, so I'm not going to shoot them down too much. They're probably a startup little marketing company trying to get their feet under them and grow, so they're trying to pay minimal to do this stuff. I'd say that they should just focus on using already developed tools that are out there for their clients, and the clients that want really specialized stuff, they can maybe upsell and charge them a lot more and hire contract engineers to do that stuff for them at a higher rate. And when I say use the already created tools out there for your clients, Use WordPress. Use the site builders out there like Wix, Squarespace, stuff like that for the majority of your clients if you can. There's no reason to recreate the wheel if those tools work well for your clients and if they work efficiently and fast, or if they're quick to getting the product on its feet and going for your clients. That's going to be a much more valuable bang for your buck than doing everything from scratch. Additionally, platforms like WordPress can be very, very affordable, especially if you self-host, and that can be a good selling point for your clients. And then also, they provide so many tools and plugins that you can go for, and there's a huge community of WordPress developers that can develop custom plugins for you. And a lot of those already integrate with critical APIs for businesses, especially e-commerce. So check that out. That's the end of it. So let me move on. Northrop, Department of Defense type contractor. I don't know what AMP is. So let's see. What is AMP? AMP developer. Are they literally talking about like an AMP? What you'll get to do. C++. Interesting. Okay. It sounds like a normal software engineer position for them. I have a feeling AMP is maybe one of their sub companies or one of the one of their specific fields or organizations within the overarching Northrop kind of portfolio or company. And they're looking for a software engineer that's going to be doing C++. So it doesn't sound like a odd engineering position. I think it's very in line with a lot that you'll find with like Lockheed Martin, General Atomics, Boeing, Northrop. These roles are normally not bad. If you're entry level joining these, you can expect to get an offer in like California of like 60K to 80 something K. And that will generally be that pay band. If you're mid level, you're looking at like 80K to 100. If you're senior, you're looking at like high level 80 to up to like 120 plus. I don't know if a lot of seniors are getting anyone higher than that. I worked for Lockheed Martin at one point, and as an entry level person at Lockheed Martin, I was paid close to that 60 range, and I was in Texas. So a little bit different. Cost of living was lower, but again, this isn't a bad rule. These companies tend to give you good, solid benefits. So health, medical, vision, or I just said two things: health, dental, vision, and they give you sometimes a 401k with like a decent matching program, and then they have other kind of benefits just for being with the company in terms of like consumer type discounts or travel discounts, stuff like that. That's all cool and all. They usually cover a decent amount of that insurance cost, so that's not bad. Their pay is definitely not the same as tech companies or startups that are paying on the high band, not those baby startups that are paying crap. Uh, but they're usually more secure of roles. So a lot of people look at the DoD companies as being very secure, long-term options that you can go work for. Their pace is usually not the fastest, so it gives you a chance to really work on your skills and develop your knowledge. I know in my experience, one regret I have when I was at Lockheed is I did not gain enough. I probably didn't put enough time reaching out to the more senior engineers and my mentor and asking them for advice and feedback on my code like I should have. And I attribute that to just I was younger working in C++. I had known web development, so I thought I could teach myself C++, and I had experience throughout college with it, but I didn't necessarily have a ton of commercial experience, and I thought I'd be able to pick it up on my own. But I probably would have learned it 20 times faster if I had just asked the people around me if they could spend a few minutes with me every like week just to do some reviews with me and talk to me a lot about it. I found a lot of experienced people that have been working with the company for a long time that could have been valuable friends and assets to have kept for a longer period. But again, I wasn't with them for a long time. I don't think this sounds bad, so I think this would be a good option. But just definitely know that your pay is going to be hit or miss. They are looking for somebody with 2 years of experience and ideally a master's degree. I think that's a tough ask. I think at this level, you should at least get 80 to 100K um, in LA, but I have a feeling it's going to be like 70 to 90. And let's see, must have U.S. citizenship with current or active TS SCI. So this is kind of a, so if you don't know this is top secret, and I think SCI is like a the interrogation level that they've done. If they've done like a polygraph and stuff like that, I don't know that for a fact, but I know TS is top secret. It's hard to get this clearance in general. You have to have a sponsor, and it's a long process to do so. So I'm surprised they have this in here for somebody with only 2 years of experience and a master's degree. These 2 years would have needed to be with another DoD firm or with Northrop themselves in another role where they got you and sponsored you through that TS clearance, because it takes, I think, like a year or more sometimes to get that clearance. So you would have needed to have been doing that prior to doing this role. So I think in that case, you're probably going to expect a higher pay if you have this. I don't think that this is a necessary disqualification for applying to it, but know that if you apply to it, it's highly likely that if you don't have a current or active clearance, that they will deny it. And then if they don't, it probably means that you're going to start the job doing something else, not the exact role for the team that they're mentioning, but you'll do something else while they're trying to get you clearance, which could take a while. Okay. Otherwise, everything looks fine. Not a bad job. All right, so let's take a look. How much time have we been running here? So we've already run over an hour. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. I think we went through maybe like 5, 6 different job recs. I think maybe we'll get faster as we continue doing this. And I feel like I'm going into pretty good depth into my reviews here. So maybe if you guys think I should cut that shorter, because there are some funny looking ones here. I think this would have been a fun one to mention because they're looking to pay $3,000 to $3,500 a month for a developer that's probably working full time, or this one for $55K a year could have been funny. If you think I should go faster or be faster when reviewing these, and just let me know. I'm going to go ahead and cut us off there, like I said, though, because we are running over that 1 hour mark. And if you have any comments, critique, any questions, please do post them in the comments. We will do this live, I think, every weekend. If you guys want me to do it during the week, I can adjust that as well. But for now, this is Issa with Journey to Programming. Hopefully this was helpful, and have a good one, you guys. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please do sub, and check us out on Facebook and everything like that. Have a good one, you guys.